Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is out. Got a great audience score. The box office isn't as great as we were hoping, but honestly, this movie, well, let's get into it here, okay? So I got a chance to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 this past weekend with my kids, and let me tell you, I was not overly excited for this movie. It wasn't something that, with all the subpar content that has come from Marvel over the last couple years, this was something I wasn't looking forward to because, honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Volume 2 of Guardians. Going into this movie, while I enjoy what James Gunn has done with a lot of films, my expectations were understandably low. Now, if we take a look over at Rotten Tomatoes, we will see that it does have a certified fresh score of 81% when it comes to critics and an audience score of 95%. Let's really dive into this, though. Like, what is going on with Guardians? What is going on with Marvel? Because while it does have a great score on both fronts, when it comes to the box office, $114 million domestically in its first weekend is quite a bit lower than what they were hoping for over at Marvel. They were hoping that it would see roughly that 140 million that Guardians Volume 2 got, and this just didn't quite make it. So what's the deal? I want to say, I think there's this misconception, and I've talked about this in the past, that every movie, the only way it'll be successful is if it hits $1 billion. The closer to $1 billion, the more successful it is. And that's just not the case. It's never been the case with film. This movie cost somewhere around $220 million to make. Okay, so right now, worldwide, it's sitting at $282 million. We can comfortably say this movie is going to get up to about $600 to $700 million when all is said and done. So let's say, and this is all guess. We don't know exactly. We never know exactly, but let's say it was $220 million to make. Add another $200 million for marketing. You're up to about between $400 and $450 million total, all in, for this film. So once they hit $500 million, they're making money on the movie. Of course, a percentage of that does go back to the theaters. A percentage of it goes back to the studio. But that is where a lot of people are not understanding is, yes, absolutely, studios want to make as much money with a film as possible. But the bar for success isn't $1 billion. The bar for success isn't $950 million. The bar of success is, can it make its money back plus some? That's what they're looking for. So people who are sitting here saying, oh, this movie isn't even going to make $700 million. First off, you have no basis off of that. I think this film has legs. So let's get into this. Let's get into this quick reaction of mine when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because this movie was phenomenal. I loved it. There was so much about this movie that I loved. The one thing that I loved about the CW superhero stuff was the 3 H's: the heart, the humor, the heroics. This movie gives that all to you, and gives it to you spectacularly. First off, this movie has so much heart, and with every main character, from Rocket, which is obviously, I'm sure you've heard, the main character of this movie, to Peter, to Gamora, to Nebula, to Drax, to Mantis, every character, even Groot, every single character has a heartfelt moment in this movie. Even Kraglin does. Then we have the humor. The humor in this movie, a lot of people, these anti-gun people right now, specifically over the DC side of things, they have this idea that James Gunn can only do dick and fart jokes. And I ask, why do you think that? If you take a look at all 3 Guardians movies, there's more to his comedy than that. Sure, Peacemaker, very much so a dick and fart joke type of comedy. But Guardians is not like that. And he proves that in this film. He proves that he knows how to write comedy. He knows how to write heartfelt, heartwarming movies. And then the heroics. The heroics are absolutely phenomenal in this film. And there's just so many good moments that happen in this film. This right here, this tweet comes from Kaifaya Malik, 176. Okay, then this has to be one of the finest action sequences in the MCU, and he is not wrong. While there aren't a lot of action sequences, there's 3 decent-sized action sequences I can think of in this movie, with maybe 1 or 2 smaller ones. So there's not an overabundance of action, but when there is action, it is great. James Gunn does an amazing job in highlighting every character in the Guardians and the teamwork, the way they work together. But obviously, okay, there are some bad. I get the issues that people had with Warlock. Adam Warlock, I felt, was, when he first shows up in the movie, it's amazing. Adam Warlock does an amazing job when he first shows up. And I think that is where they should have ended it. And then they shouldn't have used him the rest of the movie. I think it should have been, he's here, and then he's coming back at some later time in some form or fashion. And I think that's where a lot of people have their issue. I think their issues are particularly with the way he's utilized throughout the rest of the movie. That first part with him in it is great. It's great. But besides that, I honestly can't think of any more negative about this movie. This movie is great. I would say it's a top 5 Marvel movie. If I were to sit down and really think about it, it would probably be higher than 5. Quite possibly a top 10 comic book superhero movie, because this is how they're supposed to be done. You're supposed to go into these movies and just in having a good time, enjoying yourself. Yeah, you get some laughs. Yeah, you get some great, heartfelt moments, and you get the action. And I tell you what, you get all of that in this movie. So, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Do you plan on seeing it? If you haven't, why haven't you seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I want to know what you thought of this movie. I want to know why you don't want to see this movie if you haven't, because I'm telling you, go see this movie. It's good. It's fun. It's exciting. It's better than Volume 2. I'd say it's on par with the first one. And it's the best Marvel movie that we've gotten in a long time. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit subscribe. We are 100 subscribers away from 2,000 on our YouTube channel. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Tell your friends, family, moms, dads, uncles, aunts, grandfathers, grandmas to hit that subscribe button, to like and follow Bridging the Geekdoms, because without you, we can't hit that 2,000 mark. And I want to hit that 2,000 mark before the end of May. So please do that for me. With all that said, I'll talk at all of you later.